Autocar India, we're just huge fans of adventure bikes. They just make so much sense for a country that's as vast and varied as India. So it is no surprise that we had huge expectations of Triumph's mid-size adventure bike, the 800 XC. But when we test drove it, we came away with mixed emotions. We thought it was punchy but not adventurous enough. But now Triumph has unveiled two new Tiger 800s at EICMA, and we are going to be test riding them. The first one of which is this, the XR, the road-biased Tiger, which will be coming to India. We've been riding it all day. Let's see what it's like.
First, let's talk about the changes in design. And there are many fine tweaks for 2015. Some of the most appreciable changes add to the sense of toughness, like the titanium powder coat for the chassis. There's also a new finish for the engine. Then there are the cool touches, like the Triumph badges on the engine casing. Then there are the new shrouds for the radiator, which apart from looking cool, also keep the hot air away from the rider.
Okay, so the cosmetic changes aren't all that dramatic. Sure, it does look sharper, it looks stronger. Chassis is carried over from the Tiger 800, which was the more road-biased version of the Tigers, which we hadn't got in India. But this isn't just a slightly remodeled motorcycle, because there are a huge number of changes under here. And you can feel the difference it makes when you're out on the road.
The Tiger's punchy 3-cylinder engine was always its trump card, and now it feels stronger still. Sure, the peak horsepower and torque figures are the same as the previous Tiger, which is 94 bhp, which comes a little earlier in the rev range, and there's 7.6 kilograms of torque. But believe me, this engine is thoroughly reworked. The list of changes is long. There's an updated air intake system, updated fuel injection system, updated electricals with ride-by-wire. There's also an updated valve train, an updated gearbox, an updated cooling system, and a new exhaust system. And all these changes are aimed at making the engine smoother, more responsive, and more efficient. And out on the road, it certainly felt that way. Within the first few kilometers, you can appreciate the huge helping of torque that is available pretty much from idle. And that makes riding the Tiger, whether it's in the city or out on the highway, just all the more relaxing. You don't need to work that smooth 6-speed gearbox all that much. Triumph will offer traction control and ABS as standard on all the Tigers. And on this top-end XRX variant, you also get 3 rider modes to choose from. There's road, off-road, and user. The last mode is customizable. So apart from traction control and ABS settings, you also get 4 throttle maps to choose from. On the road, the XR was remarkably fun. There's strong punch from the engine throughout its rev range, and this was complemented by handling that was light and crisp. Actually, the XR turned in a lot quicker than I expected it to, although some mid-corner bumps made it feel a bit skittish.
So this is incredibly fun to ride on a tarmac road, and even for the long distance, because it's got an engine that's got the punch. The electronics make it more versatile, also make it safer. And then you've got a chassis that does feel quite agile. But if you're looking at really heading out and exploring, then I think you have to be looking at this, the Tiger 800 XC, because Triumph have made this a tougher motorcycle than before.
This is the more adventurous of the two Tigers, which is why it has a larger 21-inch front tire and spoke wheels for its off-road duties. It is also higher than the XR, with plenty more suspension travel. But that also means shorter riders will find it a bit of a climb to get onto the 840mm high saddle. This top-of-the-line XCX variant also gets engine guards and an aluminium bash plate. Apart from that, the XE gets the cosmetic updates that we've already seen on the XR.
I'm really kicked to tell you that everything that we found a little bit amiss with the earlier XE has been changed and improved on this bike. Sitting position for one. The earlier bike felt a little sporty, you were kind of leaned into it, which isn't the best for long distances. Now you have a changed handlebar, it's higher, it's swept back, so you get this nice upright seating position which is comfortable for many hours in the saddle.
Then there is the suspension. While the suspension travel at the front and rear might be the same as before, the XE now boasts of hardware that's been sourced from off-road specialists, yes, KTM's sister concern, WP. And while we rode the bike on dirt a bit, it wasn't anything extreme. Nonetheless, it was clear that the suspension felt more absorbent and much more compliant over the rough stuff.
Yeah, the WP suspension, which we didn't get bad roads here, we did a bit of off-roading and it felt more supple, and on the road it really did take the few bumps and potholes that we got quite well.
And while the XE was slightly more measured in the way it turned into corners, it was all the more enjoyable for it. No bumps phased it, and it just felt utterly calm and relaxed. Basically, a brilliant companion for heading to the horizon on. And India is on the horizon for the new updated Tiger. You can expect it here in the first quarter of 2015. With all the changes, the Tiger is certainly a lot more apt for the Indian conditions. And when it gets here, we expect it to be priced competitively. Sure, the new suite of electronics and features will end up bumping up prices. But if Triumph rolls out CKD versions of the Tiger, then the XR and the XC will become mouth-wateringly tempting adventure motorcycles from Hinckley.